Hey everybody, welcome to the vlog of many things. Me and Mr. Eric Tenkar.
Dun, 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 dun.
We will be both. I'm not going to use that analogy because it's inappropriate, but we will both be hosting the show tonight.
Yes.
Eric, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing very well. I had a busy day, but this is a. And by the way, folks, normally this would be the Triple D Dungeons, Dragons, and Discourse live stream on my channel. But yesterday was Halloween. Glenn had some family events going on, so we were moving Triple D, and I was like, hey, Halloween is a busy day. I was out there giving away candies and had the dog in her hot dog outfit because she is a Frankfurter dog. So,
yeah, we were really busy also. Wife's a teacher, kids Halloween, regular Halloween, crazy day. Oh, Scale Forge, how you doing? David Floor, how you doing tonight? Oh boy.
Yeah.
Boy.
And just as a side note, I was out all day today. I was upstate doing family stuff. So came home, I heated up dinner, and after dinner, got on, and Don and I were talking about this. And as Don and I were talking, I checked my email, and lo and behold,
hold on, Eric. We got to give a little background.
I'm not going to spill it, but lo and behold, there were a number of emails that are relevant to an ongoing event in the community. That's all.
That's right.
That's all. We're going to hold that one back for a bit, maybe.
Yeah. And tonight we're going to be talking about Whitman, NuTSR, and World of Game Design. What do they all got in common?
Ooh.
I want to talk about a YouTube channel that talked about D&D being dead and why it's being dead, because I pissed that guy off something terrible. And also, did WotC really remove half races from D&D in the new DM&G guide in PHB? Talk a little bit about that too, and who knows what else. Foogly, Mr. Gunn, Big Vic, how you doing?
Oh yeah, and by the way, folks, as a side note, we don't have like a dinner bell or the Eric has to run the Discord at 9:00.
Nope.
So we can be as insanely blabbermouthy as we want to be.
That's right, and I'm even wearing clean socks and underwear for tonight's show.
Ah, shit! I didn't know that was part of the. I'm wearing underwear. Okay, folks. We'll go that far.
Well, see, you know what the problem is? Nobody knows if we're really wearing pants.
Here, I'll make a true confession. I'm not. And Rach can tell you. The first thing I do when I walk in and I'm done going out for the day.
Oh, he just drops trow and scatters his.
What the hell? Why not?
I don't scatter them all over.
Do so.
No, now that Glenn's not visiting, I can toss it on the futon.
Very true. Hey, that's how you doing? All right. Mix it up a little bit. Want to talk a little bit about, let's save the TSR / Ken Whitman / for a little bit, few more minutes, maybe. David, How you doing? All right, real quick. I want to talk about something I saw on YouTube. I'm not going to mention the channel, okay? But there is a YouTube vlogger. He's got about 6,000 followers. And he did a big thing about how D&D is dead now. And the reason why it's dead, okay, is because back in the day, in the mid-'80s, you used to hide your books. Being a D&D player, you were edgy and on the fringes and all that. And I immediately went in there nicely. I wasn't being a dickhead or anything. And I just basically said, I've been playing since 1977 and I never hid my books. And I don't recall it being edgy. We didn't really worry about that kind of stuff or being cool. We worried about just wanting to play the game. Hey, who gives a shit? And he came back in, he told me to lighten up, Tiger. Like I was getting upset. I'm like, I'm not mad. I mean, I just disagree with you fundamentally that, maybe in your school it was that way, but not in mine. And Eric, you've been playing what, since 80, 82?
79, 80.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
the DMG came out. Yeah.
okay, we are both qualified to call ourselves old heads or grognards.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Listen,
Okay.
I would bring Top Secret in my senior year. I would bring Top Secret to our which class was it? It was physics. I would bring it to physics on lab day because we would do our lab in 15 minutes because they were stupid labs. And then we had to keep out of trouble. So we would take a table and we would play Top Secret. And we played Top Secret for the better part of 2 periods once a week. No embarrassment. We were rolling. Nobody cared.
See, that's weird because in my school,
Yeah.
and it's really weird, like I made a joke the other night, and I'm not joking. I can't remember what I had a couple days ago for dinner, but I can tell you, Mr. Sepich was his name. He was the art teacher, and he's the guy who ran the D&D club, and we used to play D&D in his class in art. And he had an art project one time where we had to design our own player character director sheets. Real quick, Mr. Gunn says something, and I want to address it. He says, let me find his comment. Just a minute. Sorry, guys. I'm adjusting. Come on. Where is the comment at? Eric, I'm just like really dropping the ball here. I'm sorry.
It's David, the Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah, I know. Okay, Mr. Gunn says this. He says, "Oh my God, I hate Lanasa. I hate hearing about that guy. Talking about that guy, such a waste of hot garbage." Mr. Gunn, bear with us. We're not really talking about him. It actually falls into a trio of subjects that we're going to be covering that actually probably gets pretty interesting. And actually, Lanasa will be a very small part of a very big talk. So, but David Thompson says, so he says, David, thanks for tuning in. He says, only time we hit our books was from my friend's Jehovah's Witness mother. She banned D&D from her house.
Oh, okay.
I can see that.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
No, my brother Mike actually worked for a construction company, and the owner was Jehovah's Witnesses. And they had all kinds of weird things they could and could not do. I mean, like on the job site, they couldn't drink coffee. Now, I didn't know that was something...
Because I guess the caffeine makes it a narcotic in their mind.
Somehow mind altering.
Narcotic. My brother was smoking more frickin' pot probably in the truck and with the workers.
Oh yeah,
job
but,
than anything. It's legal now, folks. I'm not busting my brother.
Yeah. Now, for me, my mother's Aunt Norma, Sister Camilla.
Hold on. Your aunt what?
Norma.
Your Aunt Norma?
Yep.
No shit. My mom's sister was Norma. I had an Aunt Norma.
This is my grandmother's sister, so great aunt. But and Sister Camilla, because she was full black habit nun. My mother would actually do her coifs, so she'd have, because they don't make them apparently in mass production. Surprise, surprise. And she found my D&D books one day when she was staying with my grandmother, and I was downstairs in the AC. So my room was empty. She couldn't sleep because she slept in a full black habit with no AC, so I wouldn't be able to sleep either. And she called my parents and told them, because they were in the Poconos, that I was a devil worshiper.
Sitter.
I had books about casting
She
spells.
broke it to them.
Oh yeah, she called them up and said that she would do my parents a favor and throw it all out for them. And my mother, God bless her, was like, Norma, we'll take care of that when we get home. You don't touch anything. We wouldn't want you to soil your hands by touching that stuff. And my mother was like, listen, do us a favor. Play your other games that aren't like fantasy until Norma stops visiting, and then you can go back. Nothing was. My mother loved the fact that we played RPGs. They brought the kids in the neighborhood together.
See, my mom really didn't care either way. My mom was not anti D&D. My mom, we would play D&D at the kitchen table, and like we would stay up all night. My mom would get up the next morning because my mom was an early riser. She'd be like up at 4:30 reading the newspaper, back when they had newspapers. And she'd walk out and say, "You all are up still." Let me make you guys some pancakes. My mom wanted to make pancakes every freaking morning. Pancakes. No bacon, nothing. Pancakes.
Oh, you need the bacon. You need the
My
extra.
mom was pancakes. Can we have French toast, Mom? No, I'm making pancakes. You like pancakes. You'll eat them. Thanks, Mom. Dieta says, even in the late 90s and 2000s, I remember parents being 50-50 on the subject, but where I lived, about 20 years behind the time. Yeah. I mean, the thing is in my group, there was me. My mom didn't give a shit. My girlfriend at the time, Carolyn, who was in our group, lived across the street from me. Her parents were deceased, but she was being raised by her grandma and grandpa, who were very Polish, very Catholic.
Okay.
Oh, and that shit didn't fly with them.
Oh no, that's that.
Yep.
The freedom on the cover of the DMG. Oh my God, that's a devil.
Yep. My mom actually had to call Carolyn's grandma and grandpa and say, Carolyn can hang out tonight. They're going to be up all night playing board games. My mom actually covered my ass on that, believe it or not.
My mother did that too with one of my friends, Lenny. He was Filipino. And Lenny's mother would constantly call for him. And mother would go, Lenny's up. I'm going to feed him. He'll get fed. And somebody will walk him home. Because she was very protective of Leonard. But I mean, my mother's view, and we destroyed chairs, by the way. I had one friend, not going to name him, but he was heavy. I mean, I'm not a lightweight now, and I wasn't lightweight then, but he was heavy. And as my mother put it, they would jump up and down the chairs. They got excited. We lost 2 wooden dining room chairs to the game. And my mother didn't care.
With my mom smoked like a chimney.
When I was young,
my mom's only rule was, don't sneak any of my cigarettes out of the freezer.
There you go.
We did anyways, but
Right.
But Big Vic says, guess tomorrow my 12-plus players and I are playing a dead game. Sigh. I'm an old Grogner. Yeah, but Victor, let's just be honest here. The reason why you can also call it a dead game, because you're notorious. You like to kill off players. It's true. Tis. Flat mag omnium. Hey, look, we're not all from the Netherlands that know 17 languages, okay, Brooklyn? I'm allowed to give her a hassle. I've known Brooklyn for 10 years. Mr. Gunn says, at David Thompson, my mom loved D&D, got me reading stuff and asking questions about medieval stuff, learning other stuff. Yeah, that's the thing. The only family in all of our group that didn't like D&D was Carolyn's grandparents. But, everybody else, their parents were cool with it. We never hit it or anything like that. But then again, in my school, we really didn't experience a satanic panic. Did you, Eric?
My school, no. It was a public school. And my friend introduced me. He was going to Catholic school when he got introduced to D&D from other classmates at the Catholic school. So it wasn't, the satanic panic wasn't really big in New York City.
Gotcha. Dave Flores says, I ran a D&D after school group at Jesuit High School. That went over well. Oh, I could imagine. But see, with us, we had a group, but also Mr. Sepich, our art teacher, ran a D&D club. Let me back up. The only fallout that we had is when things got really stupid, like on 60 Minutes when they did the story and stuff like that. Our school didn't ban D&D on the grounds, but they stopped the D&D club. So Mr. Sepich simply said, have it at my house. We would go, I think it was Wednesday nights, we'd go to his house. And we played D&D from 4:30, 5 o'clock till 7:30.
Okay.
But he was really cool. Really, really cool. Fugly, how you doing? He says, wasn't Gygax a Jehovah's Witness? Yes. But Eric, I'd have to ask Tim or Heidi on this, or maybe even Luke, but I don't know how. I would imagine he was probably not an adamant Jehovah's Witness because he did D&D.
Yeah, he did D&D, and when he was out in the West Coast, he did a lot more than D&D.
Yeah, he was quite the partier.
Yes, so we'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Let me see here. Gunther, how you doing? Welcome to the show. He says, we used to game in a library before class in high school. No judgment from the school at all. They were happy we were improving our reading and math skills.
Yep.
The only reason why I think my school did what they did is just because, things got real political. Like, when 60 Minutes does a show back then.
Oh,
And for those of you too young to realize this, Eric and me remember this. 60 Minutes was like the weekly was Sunday weekly news show.
It was Sunday night.
Yep.
And you had the
At 7 a.m.
so you had to come.
7 p.m.
You always had the commercial with it.
Yep.
As that damn stopwatch was going off. It'd be like 60 minutes after football, and they would. I think that they cut off football games to make sure initially that 60 minutes would start on time.
Yeah, and 60 Minutes was so highly regarded. I mean, parents and people watched it. I mean, they listened to it. It was like something where you got the facts.
Yeah,
it wasn't like today where you're like, yeah, it's like,
it's like, all right, let me look at the spin.
Yeah.
I could be listening to the spin doctors or watching 60 Minutes, but yeah, same thing for Dateline when we were younger. Dateline.
Did you guys have? We watched PBS.
Yeah.
McNeil Lair News Hour.
Yep, McNeil Lair News Hour. Yeah. Yep. And that was another one that was like, and PBS was like the ultra neutral one. I mean, they were the ones you watch when you wanted to get it neutral.
Right. You don't want to you don't want a left spin or a right spin. You want it straight down the middle, and unadulterated. But that's once we got cable news, even networks then had to start their spin because people don't tune into cable news for the news. They just tune in for the.
It was a different time because I think at one time we were rocking and rolling before HBO came out in '81 and cable TV. I think we had like 4 channels we could get on the TV.
I was a bit more. I was in New York City. 2, 4, 5. 2, 4, and 7 were the networks. 5 was one of the local channels. 9 was WOR, came from Newark, New Jersey.
Oh, and Channel 11.
And Channel 11. And PIX had the Yankees games, Channel 11. Channel 9 had the Mets games. And the other primary channel was Channel 13.
Yeah.
WNET, PBS. And
okay, I got one for everybody. I remember this when we came back from the UK and we got back to the States. We moved to initially a place called Hazel Park, Michigan.
Okay.
And there was on Channel 7. This is something we busted ass from school to get home and got our little bits and pieces done because they had the thing called the 4 o'clock movie.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And it was themed. Like you'd have like Godzilla week and you'd have like Ultraman week. And
for us it was 4:30. It was 4:30.
Was it? This was the 4 o'clock movie. And it was always like 4 o'clock a movie.
Actually, it was on Channel 7. You didn't have a 5 o'clock news. You got your local news at 6. You got your country news, your U.S. news at 6:30. The network news. So you didn't have the and your TV stations kids were off overnight.
Yes, 12 midnight. Salute TV and have the national anthem play.
Right, and it's back up at 6.
Yep.
So you didn't have the 24/7 news cycle.
And by the way, we have to ban Calvin Oni from this channel now because he had coffee this morning. He's a heathen.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. I have like 7 cups a day, so never mind.
Wait. I have 1 cup of tea a day, but I have caffeine mints, and I get my my caffeine the new fashioned way.
Eric, Mr. Gunn has a question for you.
No.
Now see, my aunt first name was Norma. And my Aunt Norma was like, and I tell you what, my Aunt Norma was about 650 pounds. And when we lived in the States, she'd come over about twice a month and spend all weekend, and my mom and her play cards.
Okay.
And my Aunt Norma was the coolest freaking woman, besides my wife, the coolest woman I've ever met in my life. She was a hell of a sense of humor, used to piss my mom off because my mom hated the F word. And my Aunt Norma used to say the F word like every 3rd word out of her mouth.
Nice.
And my mom would correct her, and she'd look at my mom and say, "Oh, hush, Neoma." Only woman I knew that could get away with telling my mom to hush in her own house.
Well, my aunt, again, she was my great aunt Norma. As she got older, she became legally blind and legally deaf. And the last time she visited was right after 9/11. And I had to go to Newark Airport to pick her up because her convent was in Pittsburgh, but she flew in, and Newark was cheaper. So they flew her into Newark. And I go to pick her up with my mother. And as they allowed me, because I showed my ID, to actually go to the gate because she needed to get wheeled out. And as I'm coming up to her, remember she's deaf and blind. So I'm like, Norma, it's Eric, and she screams back to me from 5 feet away, "Did you bring your gun?" And instinctively, because there's National Guardsmen, and I'm like, shield and ID up in the air.
Yep.
I'm not working at the moment. It's in my locker in the police precinct. Oh my God! But I love Norma. My Aunt Norma became a nun at the age of 38. Before that,
wow, really?
Yep, she was a party girl before that.
Oh, so she was reformed. She was a reformed party girl. Found out.
Yeah. And she was into like, I don't know, when you put a button on a string and hold it over your hand and it starts to spin. She would say like soothsaying.
Oh, it like
okay.
Pendulum.
Yeah, but it was just like weird. She believed in auras and this stuff. And it's like, it's like, but you don't believe in Vatican II. I'm very confused. You know.
Bad Mike, welcome to the show.
Yeah, Bad Mike's in the room causing trouble.
You know what? Bad Mike, there's been a new rule for Bad Mike. He cannot post those freaking pork cutlet sandwiches when he goes to freaking conventions. Those things drive me nuts because it's like he always posts them when I'm the hungriest. I don't access. It's too late to be frying up pork sandwiches. Damn.
And they're larger than your head. I mean, not just larger than my hand. They're larger than your head. You're like, how the hell is that all going in to one man? I mean, today's lunch took me 2 meals to finish. I had it for lunch. I had it for dinner. I was like, damn.
Mr. Gunn says Jesuits against D&D sounds odd for Jesuits. See, this is the thing. I'm familiar with Catholicism.
Right.
I'm familiar with Baptist because around here you can't walk 5 feet without tripping over a Baptist. And I imagine in New York it depends on neighborhood, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of Catholics in New York City because New York City was built by the Irish to a large extent. So you have a lot of Catholics.
Yeah. Bad Mike says, getting my last adventure of the year ready for tomorrow. A group won't meet again until January. Oh, bummer. I need to get the D&D game fired up I've been talking about. I am like seriously been lately fiending for some good quality D&D. You know? Maybe I can get Whitman to play.
That's a segue if I ever heard one.
Yeah. Let's see here. Don't tease me. Oh, here we go. Calvin says Gygax was in various Christian religions, not at times. Yeah, I think this is the thing. I admire his business tenacity. Gary Gygax was very tenacious and motivated. You have to be, you know. But like everything, they always say, we all kind of elevate our quote unquote heroes. And to me, he's not really a hero of mine. I admire what he created and the joy he brought the world along with Arneson.
Yeah, he's an important figure and a founder, but it doesn't make him doesn't mean that he's heroic. To be heroic, you have to do things that are did a greater good. And while I think RPGs certainly have done good, not to that extent. It's not like I discovered penicillin. I discovered Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah,
and I don't quite hold that in the same.
Yeah, Dave Thompson says our local Catholic priest was cool with us starting a second RPG club in his church hall, but his church committee thought we were Satanists and blocked us. I can get that. I mean, I guess, when you have a group of kids running around saying, I'm going to cast spell and I'm going to raise the dead and I'm going to resurrect. There's only one guy who can resurrect.
Right.
Fugly says he drank coffee in CA. I think that's related to earlier. You know what? Anybody who drinks coffee, I respect. I also like tea, but you know what? I'm serious. I'm a hardcore coffee drinker. My wife will tell you. It's like, and my daughter being a manager at a Starbucks. Oh God, 6-shot Americano.
2 cups of coffee in my life, just 2.
No way.
Just 2.
All those years as a cop, and you've only had 2 flipping cups of coffee in your entire life.
Yes, and one was at Shea Stadium on a detail that was a miserable day, and they still held the game. It was wet and cold, and there was no tea, and the hot chocolate was sold out, and all I could do to warm up was to get a coffee. And I took a lot of sugar and a lot of milk in my coffee there, and and another cup of coffee was at a complainant's house, and they needed to do something to calm themselves down, and they offered coffee, and you're like, all right, I can sip this thing for an hour if I have to. I'm not going to finish it.
Mr. Gunn says, don't forget the flandering too. You know what? I guess I'm meant to say this about Gary Gygax. He was human.
Yes.
You know, and I'm not defending it, okay? I'm not trying to make this into one of these social issues discussions. But again, you have to understand something. There were things back in the early to mid 70s into the 80s, early 80s, that, and flandering wasn't one of them, but there's things that were, if not accepted, they were tolerated openly that would never be tolerated today. Like, I'll give you an example. I'm gonna use an R word here, and I'm not trying to offend anybody, but like when I was a kid, calling another kid retarded was just kind of like calling him like dumb or whatever, but you'd never do that today, rightfully so.
Right.
You know, well, times change, you know.
Right. Like, listen, when I was a kid, my neighborhood, everybody got, if you were the kid that was dorky and uncool, you were the fag.
Yeah.
That was the only kind of, and it didn't mean any sexual orientation.
Yeah.
It just meant you're off step. You're the one that nobody wants to hang out with, not because you're an asshole, but because
different vernacular for different times.
Right. Language evolves. Language changes constantly.
Yeah. And then Bad Mike says, yeah, I have a con next weekend, and the wife and I go out of town for a month. Might possibly be late December game, I guess. But everyone is so busy that time of year. Hey, Bad Mike, when you get a chance, what convention is
Long Con?
What is it called?
Long Con.
Long Con. Where's that at?
I believe that's in Louisiana, or just over the border from Texas, or it's still in Texas.
Hold on.
Down there.
We have to turn on the undesirables.
The trio.
Hi.
All right, Long Con is in Texas. You're right, Rich.
How are you doing tonight? Can you hear us? He'll get around to it.
Yes. Long Con is in Longview, Texas. My bad.
Gotcha. Bad Mike said they don't have pants and underwear on, so you guys are good. Excellent. Bad Mike, you wearing those red horns, buddy? Huh?
Technical difficulty.
From the conventions, those red horns?
We hear you now, Mr. Technically Difficult.
Let's see. Scale Forces, I'm hoping to go to Dragon Con in Chattanooga in January. Dragon Con's not in January. Dragon Con, so you guys Dragon Con is in July, I believe. Is it July?
I have no idea. Never been to it. I've heard
Eric's
of
going to go ahead and research this out.
Yes.
Dave Thompson says, God save us from the religious.
It's in August. Or it was
August. Yeah.
August to September, 29th through the 2nd. So
let's see.
I don't know about 25.
Yeah, Brooklyn, it's in August. It's not in January.
What the heck? Important vendor application opens in February.
Yeah. Local model con. Okay, hold on. Never mind. When he said model con, got me excited for a minute because that's how me and Brooklyn met, as we did build models and such. So let me think here. Mr. Gunn says, "Bad Mike, stop flirting. I'm married. I keep telling you. I know. If he wore those red horns and stood up, I don't know what the hell I would do. You know what I mean?
It's just so damn sexy. By the way, Mike's my once a week work spouse.
Sorry, I'm not going to try to take him from you. Okay?
Leave Mike alone.
Okay.
Well, I think there's a possibility that since Bad Mike dresses up as Satan at North Texas Con, that he might actually be a succubus or something.
Actually, he was just telling us he wasn't wearing underwear or pants, and I asked him if he's wearing little red horns with it. So you know what I mean?
Right
At Don, was that channel 56? Mr. Gunn, if you're talking about the 4 o'clock movie, it was on channel 7 in Detroit because we lived in Hazel Park at the time.
I'll be right back. Hold on a second.
No problem. Let's see here. Mr. Gunn was PBS. Oh, no, PBS in the Detroit area was channel 23. So we got back from the UK, moved to Hazel Park. Channel 7 was the big one for the 4 o'clock movie. PBS was channel 23. And believe me, we're going to get to the subjects here in a moment. Let's see. I'm just kind of going through chats. Score big. I'm trying to score bigly in the Calvinoni cover coffee. We were talking about coffee and such. Yes, I'll talk for Bad Bike on this one. Yes, they are the famous fried pork sandwiches. Oh my God, they look good. They're freaking big. You got a bun that big and the damn patty or fillets that large.
Wow.
Yeah, Bad Mike, when he posted those photos, I was like, oh, wow. Never eat anything bigger than your head. Yeah, it's a pork sandwich. Happy Halloween. You were all age 25 at the time. Shark, how you doing? Mr. Gunn says 6-shot Americano. Why not skip the can and just get 6 shots? You know what? 6-shot Americano is how I like my coffee, and I'm not joking. Tino will tell you, I like strong black coffee. I don't want anything in it. My wife puts these flavored coffee creamers you buy. I don't like those. I want black straight coffee. Okay. And I'm the type of person, I can drink 2 cups of coffee at night and go to bed an hour later and sleep well.
That's me.
That's bizarro.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I can do, I used to do 2 or 3 cups of tea and then go to bed. And I was like, I should be wired, but I'm not.
You
Shark says
tolerance.
Yep. Shark says, I'm all about coffee, laughing. French roast is my favorite. See, with my daughter, we get it, weekly, and it's like, whatever. It's all good because it's all dark roast. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, believe it or not, blonde roast has more caffeine in it than espresso roast or even French roast does.
Really?
Yep.
I thought that would be like,
we gotta buy some blonde roast.
Yep, blonde roast has a higher caffeine content than, because the heat, according to Alyssa, my daughter, the heat when they brew it, and because it's under such high heat on a professional machine, it actually can negate some of the caffeine, and they don't do such high heat for blonde roast.
By the way, I was summoned to take out my 20 shooter. It's a bug assault.
One of those bug guns?
Yes. and I was like, all right, it's hunting time. But I tried the pump action one, and I brought that to the Poconos, which you
I gotta cock it.
Yeah, I have a bad grip on my non-shooting hand, so the damn cocking. This is CO2 powered, and when you shoot a bug with this, if you shoot a moth in the air, it's like shooting with a shotgun. You just get the fine feather. You get nothing. You get nothing. Not.
He's having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, Rachel's like, I need your expertise. Like, oh, I get to break out my bug assault gun. Totally legal, by the way, in New York City. Don't shoot in the eyes. Don't shoot in the eyes. That salt will blind you.
In Boston, they say don't shoot till you see the whites of their eyes.
Well,
Mr. Gunn, I believe Shark meant French roast coffee. I'm not trying to talk for him, but I believe that's what he meant. Hey, Vic says, I got Eric beat on the coffee, only 1 cup here.
There you go.
Wow.
And Vic drives truck for a living. You were a freaking police officer, and I tell you what, And the thing is, when I worked in EMS in Michigan as a paramedic, we drank coffee like crazy. Unless people got drunk the night before, then we would give IVs to each other.
All right, so here's a myth about cops. Cops eat a lot of donuts. We eat a lot of crullers and other things like that. But donuts generally come with a lot of powdered sugar in most places. Most departments have dark blue uniforms. Yep. We don't like to eat, or so it looks like either we were eating donuts or bathing in cocaine. Neither one is what you want to look like as a police officer. So
you're busting a guy for possession or getting high on cocaine, and you got like white powder all over your face.
Dude, it tests me. It's a donut. I used to my signature on EN World used to be coppers and crullers because my unit. There you go.
Shark says he says my parents bought me all the books, dice, and miniatures to play D&D. My parents played my first campaign that I DM'd.
No, my parents bought me my DMG, my player's handbook, and a high quality set of dice. My mother wouldn't buy the blue ones that you took a crayon to.
I still have my original D4 and D20 from my original
I've got my original set of D4, D6, D8,
I don't have
D12, D20. There was no D10s, by the way.
Yep, none.
You kids with your percentile dice. Come on now. You want to throw percentiles, you rolled a D20 twice.
See, my mom was different. My mom did not mind me playing D&D, but after that initial box set that I got for Christmas that year, she felt that the modules were like way high priced. So I had to go mow lawn or shovel snow or sing Christmas carols to get my money for my stuff. Yes, I sang Christmas carols door to door. Don't knock it. I made damn good money doing that. Me and my buddy Lance did.
Yeah.
Just go away. Here's some money. Go away.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. They want to shut you up. Take $5 and get out of here, kid.
You're scaring the children. Please take this money and go.
Scaleforge says, in fact, it's 1:30 a.m. Scaleforge is in the Netherlands. Had 18 mugs of coffee. It's called Cups. And just started my third energy drink. I'm remote testing new materials. Yeah, and you're gonna sit there and probably have a migraine headache tomorrow morning.
Only if he doesn't keep having caffeine.
Never sleeps. Seriously.
You got to keep those numbers up. I mean, the few times when I've really, it's like you're doing a double shift at work and you just I'm just tea and caffeine candies, and then the next day you're like, oh, because you had that caffeine high going, and then you come off it, and it's a horrible headache.
Worse than a hangover.
Yes.
Mr. Gunn says, Long Con, how have I been married for 20 years? Oh, Mr. Gunn. Now, see, real quick, let's do it. This is really weird. All of us are close in age within like a year.
Mm-hmm.
And haven't we been with our women closely? Because I've been with my wife now for 16 years, and we're going on our... you're the newer guy.
He's the newer. Yeah.
You're newer. Because me and Tina met in 2008, got married in 2011. Eric, you're close to us then.
We got married in 2011.
But you met Rach in
2009, I believe.
And Tom, you married Tam in what?
5 years ago.
2019.
2019.
We met through the internet and couldn't stop talking to each other. So we started calling. We got on the phone, and then we couldn't stop talking on the phone. So we went to Denny's for breakfast at 3 a.m. And then that day, I kind of decided she was the one for me.
Yeah, see, that was like me and Tina. We met online.
Yep.
And in fact, I was on Match.com and met her.
There you go. Same here.
And our first date after talking for a while was at a Mexican place called Don Pablo's. And halfway through the date, I got called off for work. I had to leave the date. She thought I was ditching her.
Ooh.
Yep. Hey, she stuck with me, okay?
She said.
So The rest is history.
Yeah, our first date was a comedy club. My friend Kenny recommended comedy clubs because you're not obligated to talk. There's other stuff going on, and if it's good, if it's a good show, you'll both leave with good time. And I knew I found the right woman when the comedian decides to point at me and go, "What are you, an accountant?" And Rach goes, "Yes, he's an accountant. What of it?" I was like, "That's it." She didn't give me up for being a cop because that would have been one hell of a thing. She's like, "Yeah, he's an accountant. What of it?" I'm like, "She understands."
Rach had your ass back.
I'm like, she understands what it means to date a cop.
Yeah. Yes, he is wearing pants most likely.
I am wearing. Yes, I am.
Ah!
I am wearing pants.
Oh, I think I take them off just for us. All right. I was like, just
Try and be that way. Be the outlier.
You didn't have pants on?
Oh, there might be a question somebody else.
Pants are optional.
Pants and underwear.
Underwear on.
Take a guess.
But it would be weird if Bad Mike had pants on.
Penance for being late. Yes.
Oh.
Okay.
He is. He's wearing pants.
All right.
I was on toddler duty.
Shall we get to the subject after 45 minutes?
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
Okay. Now, I think everybody knows NuTSR, or at least have heard of it.
Yeah.
Ken Whitman. Eric, can you give a brief overview of Whitman? Because you kind of really got into
my
this.
hand on Whitman.
All right. So Ken Whitman, and I believe Ken became Whitman to get himself away from being Ken.
Hiding his name.
He pretty much did a pyramid scheme of Kickstarters, and a number of them were involved with movies or video. Others were pencil dice, which literally is what you think it is. It's dice that probably are great for being used in prison and penitentiaries. And then he did another pencil dice that were branded Traveler and Castles and Crusades. And he's mostly known for failing to deliver the finished product on the Night at the Dinner Table live action series.
But Eric, real quick, his Kickstarters raised a lot of money, didn't they?
Yes, and when they were raising this money, and people were wondering, where's my shit at? Ken was test driving a brand new car.
Oh,
For weeks, test driving. I didn't buy it. I'm test driving. You don't test drive a car for weeks. Okay. He went on a cruise.
he was test driving the ship.
Yeah, it was a crock of crap. He was most likely, the allegations are that he was spending Kickstarter funds on vacationing and new cars and stuff. So,
Doesn't real quick, I'm not trying to be a dick here. Doesn't anybody put money in escrow like you legally have to do? It's literally a felony not to do it, at least in Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the biggest almost failure wasn't a failure because Ernie and Benoit had a separate account for the Kickstarter fund, and they didn't spend it on hookers and blow. So that project was able to be saved. Memorial Tomb, they were able to Troll Lord Games was able to come in and be the White Knight because, yes, it would cost man hours, but they didn't have to lose actual cash on getting the product out. So whatever you want to say about Ernie as a businessman, in this case, he did the right thing. And I know the money was there because he showed me the receipts back
But the thing is, was Ernie in direct control of that, or was Wah the one actually holding the purse strings?
I believe Ernie, the account, I believe, was in Ernie's name as a business account.
See, this is the whole thing, real quick, kind of a little bit of a little side John on this. What things about Ernie about that is in the video conference I had, where we had covered NASA, myself, and Ernie and Lisa was there on Discord. They were both mad because they were talking about the monies they invested, and Ernie dropped off the money that he invested from his Kickstarter and gave to Voldemort.
Well,
So I wonder how that went. Unless
well, there could have been monies left over after Trollord Games saved the project. They probably just required
gotcha.
what
Now,
was needed to get out. So Ernie could have ended with a profit. I don't know those people.
did Lord as part of the deal? Do you know, Eric? Did they like get rights to the IP?
I don't know if they got the rights to the IP, but I do believe they got publishing rights to the IP for further. But I'd really have to
We'll probably picked up any deficiency in funds available probably for that too, because they
Yeah.
didn't sell well or had pre-sales or whatnot. For
Yeah.
continued product.
So I mean, again, that was a project when Ernie showed me that there was still a significant, nearly six figures of money was still in the account, and the money that was spent, I was seeing receipts for as to where it went. I'm not saying the project was run well, but
Yeah.
it could have been a hell of a lot worse if other people, perhaps people that need to ask their wife for permission to use money to pay their staff, was running. I don't know. I'm just
We're gonna
saying.
segue into that one there.
Well, yeah, but so we'll go back to Ken for a second. So, Ken was the first person that I ever knew who was diagnosed with was it CTS, the football injury that they diagnose upon. I mean,
you mean the excuse he used.
right? Yeah, that was the excuse that he had CTS. Now, when he said that and he was diagnosed with it, you could only be diagnosed with this disease upon death and having an autopsy, having the coroner find. They didn't have a way to find it, but he said he was being treated for it, and I did a little research, and there was no treatment for it. So, Ken threatened me with the FBI on my doorstep. Ken threatened to sue me, hit me with copyright strikes. This is on my blog. I mean, it was just bizarre intimidation shit. But the reality is, when somebody took him to court, and he was taken to court, small claims court in New York State, over the live action series for Knights of the Dinner Table, Ken had to finally come up with a reason as to why he never completed it. Now he bought product, he bought equipment, which he used for other activities, other projects, with different. Certainly not the PG rating that would have been involved in this project.
But why? That's the part that blows my mind, because you've talked before that he had a POD operation.
And that was way before all this. Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, if you have the equipment sitting there, I just don't understand the mentality of it.
We never listen. He was kickstarting movies and TV shows, and he was kickstarting pencil dice, which you need an embosser for. So
what?
You need something that will actually take the pencil and imprint it.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, somebody bought it for him, and he got out, I don't know, a handful. But by the way, when he started fulfilling the pencil dice project, he didn't go in order of first person who ordered gets it. No, he went, who only wanted one pencil? And I'm going to fulfill those. So I can say I fulfilled 12% of my orders in the last 2 days because I got the smallest orders and cranked out those pencils. Then he lost interest.
Who in the hell? Okay, no offense. Okay, everyone in chat, we have almost 30 people watching right now. Of everybody watching, who would want to have, if you're going to support a Kickstarter, an RPG, how many here would say that pencil dice being offered would be that one thing that bring you over to support the Kickstarter? I mean, pencil dice.
Here's the thing. I didn't back any of Ken's shit. I didn't back any of Mike Neistel's shit. No, actually, I shouldn't say that. I did back Mike Nice because he had the dwarven one that looked really cool. The reality is, Ken is charismatic. Ken talks a good story. Ken, if I was going to give Ken D&D stats, I would give him a 19 in charisma with the ability to charm. But once that charm fades, people hate him.
Yeah,
But,
I noticed that in his Facebook posts. He seems like, I mean, he really can sell.
oh,
I mean, like his workshops he does for acting right now, I could see where somebody who really has a dream to be an actor or an actress could be pulled into that a little bit because he name drops,
oh
he
yeah.
sits there and I mean, it's like, wow.
Yeah, so Bad Mike's like Rapid POD was Ken's company that crashed. Ken had under, I believe, Wit Productions or whatever he was publishing under at that point. He had a license for the Highlander card game.
Oh,
He was
Whoa, hold on. No, seriously.
seriously.
He had the license
Yes.
for the Highlander
Right.
TCG.
Yes.
it gets better. It gets better, Don.
It gets better, Don. So my understanding, and when I say my understanding, is that I was informed by people who I have faith that they have applicable knowledge, is that he was printing extra of the rare and powerful cards.
No, I'm hearing where this is going right now.
To sell
No.
the aftermarket, but not only that, the POD company, he couldn't get stuff out quick enough, and he couldn't get stuff out in a quality. So the books were often defective, and people weren't getting the stock they needed to sell at conventions. So, I mean, personal opinion, Ken is pretty good at spending money. He's pretty good at pitching for money. He's less good at delivering. The Knights at the Dinner Table live action series, when he was taken to small claims court, he had to tell the judge, yes, all the hard drives with all the high definition video was in my friend's barn, which burned down.
Because that's where you put your fucking hard drives
Yeah,
for your business.
because a barn, which is not weatherized, is not temperature controlled, is where you wouldn't need a fire to ruin those hard drives. I think nature would take care of that on its own.
So there were no hard drives, really.
No, obviously not. I mean,
This is like saying, yeah, I had my gun with the bump stock on the boat, and the boat capsized, and I lost the bump stock in the lake.
yeah.
I don't know how it happened. I was flossing with my bump stock, slipped out of my hands, along with all the firearms that I forgot to renew my permits for.
The other thing that bugs me about people like Whitman is the fact that, okay, he's obviously a good pitch man. He is.
Oh yeah.
This is where people who go in business don't realize their weaknesses and strengths. Why, okay, you're a great pitch man, you're not a good businessman, and you got the equipment. Why not hire somebody to operate the equipment, to pump out the product?
That costs money. That takes away money.
He had the equipment, but he didn't realize that the equipment takes silly things like 320 GSM cardstock, 125 or 128 pound paper, that type of thing. He didn't realize that you got to be able to make the stuff.
Look at Bad Mike's comment. Ken took orders for Rapid POD, and it all came to a head one Gen Con, which, by the way, Ken used to be a manager at Gen Con back in the late 90s.
This is just irritating as shit to me. He had it all on a silver platter in his lap.
Yep, and no one's orders were fulfilled because he never showed up that year.
Well, the story actually gets better if we actually get on to tonight's topic.
Look,
continue on.
No, look in the chat. Look in the
going
chat.
right down. I'm going down.
No, look in the current chat. Hi, Ken.
Hey, Whitman.
Mr. Whitman, how are you? Hold on a minute. Let me get right down here real quick. Ken, first of all, welcome to the show. I have to ask you something as somebody who does printing myself. What did you do with your printing equipment? Whatever happened to that? Get to that when you get a chance. Because see, what I don't understand is, and I appreciate you showing up, Ken, is what made you get out of doing gaming if you had all the equipment and the licenses? Because I understand you had a flipping license to the Highlander card game.
He says he didn't have the license. He said,
hold on, I gotta get right down here, just a minute.
Something. You gotta. I just saw it pop up on the screen.
Hold on a minute. Just a minute. Ken says the backup drives did get destroyed in a barn.
Yeah, in a barn fire. This was Ken's testimony in court.
Good night, David.
But they were. My question is, if they were backup drives, then where were the original drives?
Well, not only that, but the thing is, and the thing is, I'm not trying to pick on Ken. I'm not trying to pick on you. I mean, legitimately, the thing is, you had the license for things like the Highlander game. You had the equipment. What made you get out of POD? POD is very profitable if you do it right. I mean, you should know that. It's real fascinating to me. And also, I guess I'm going to ask you is like, the main drives got sent to Zoe. I'm kind of out of that part. What is Zoe?
Zoe is zombie something entertainment.
Okay, because what I don't understand is this, because I actually do some printing for other companies, other publishers. Why would you send a drive to a company? I understand, give them the original files. What you do is you put them into a zip drive or onto a 3.5 at the time, probably, or some other media. You don't send the original drive back. I just don't understand that. And I guess while I have you here, I got to ask something. I mean, it's kind of interesting since we're talking about it. Is as someone who has a Kickstarter delayed right now, and I do, I admit it, but how many total did you not deliver on? How many was there, Eric?
There were at least 2 pencil dice ones. The pop dice one got canceled by Kickstarter. There was the Castles and Crusades. I think it was supposed to be. I'm not sure if that was going to be a movie or a TV series. You had the Traveler TV series. You had the Knights of the Dinner Table live action series. That might be it, or I might be missing one. I know. I know the Pop-O-Matic dice got canceled by Kickstarter, saying it wasn't a unique.
So, but at least 4 to 5 have funded.
Oh, everything. Yeah, I could do a quick check. Keep it going.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Because the thing is and Ken's now doing, from what I understand, Ken, you're doing like workshops for actors and for movie people want to produce movies and such, correct? So interesting. So this kind of segues into Eric, another individual who is fairly well known. Gotcha. Okay. Witness says, my license for KO Dice at the Dinner Table had to expire, and I did not have the rights to fulfill after the contract expired. The deal is to send it to Zoe. Yes, but I mean, the thing is, well, everybody has their own policies, I guess. So, but I guess, Ken, since I have you here, but everybody runs into setbacks. We all have them. Lord knows, we do. And Ken, I'm going to tell you right now, we would love to have you on as a guest. I guess I'll do an invite right now if Eric and Tom don't mind. Would you like to come on next Thursday, Ken, and kind of talk stuff and talk? You're interested, Eric, Tom? Would you like to have them?
That's fine with me.
I'd be fine.
Ken, open invitation since you said you'd happy to have a guest. Love to have you on if you'd like to come on if you're free next Thursday. So definitely drop a line in chat, and I'll reach out to you via Facebook, and we'll set it up and everything. Hell yeah. Because I'm sure that I have a couple ideas. We could have like another guest on if they want to come on, talk movie making. We can talk all kinds of fun stuff, right, Tom, Eric?
Yeah. But I forgot about Knight's Quest. Oh, I think he was also involved with the Sergio Aragonés Gru card game. I believe that one actually that wasn't his. Oh, that's right. That's why I couldn't find it. He did everything that had funding issues under D20 Entertainment.
Gotcha. Real quick, Ken just said Thursday fine. Ken, I'm gonna tell you right now in front of everybody. I'll reach out to you via Facebook, and you can reach me at Don Samora on Facebook, and we'll set it up. And if there's anything specific you want to kind of get into and talk about, happy to talk about it. We'll kind of dedicate, if you want, the entire hour to you or whatever, and we'll sit down and do like we always do here. We'll just sit here and shoot shit, get into some goodies, and talk facts. So, all right, Eric, go ahead, Tom.
Well, I was just going to say, are we ever going to get to World of Game Design?
That's exactly what I'm just now getting into. I was going to have Eric start getting into World of Game Design and bring up. Tom, just let you know, we're going to be here for a while because nobody has a bedtime on this one tonight.
Nobody has a bedtime. I may have a bladder time at some point, but
I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to let you guys. I got to do one quick thing. I'll be 2 minutes, and if I'm going to be here for a while, I need to get something real quick. Go on.
Oh, it's almost like an intermission. Holy crap!
I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Oh, promises. Folks, World of Game Design, which is Jared Nielsen, is something that has been popping up on Facebook all week. It is like if I took out if World of Game Design stories on Facebook were like moths for this gun, I'd be having to change the cylinder in here of my assault gun because it's everywhere. And these are friends of mine that I've known for years telling either horror stories or near misses. And what happened today is that I was out, for those who weren't here at the beginning, I was out all day doing family stuff and came home. The first thing I did was make dinner for Rach and I. And then I looked at my emails. Don and I are getting ready to start this live stream. And I'm like, holy, my emails are crazy, including an email from, and I'm going to ruin a little bit of the punchline, Jared himself. And Jared wants to come on the live stream. So we're going to try to see if we can work something out for Wednesday. Next week's going to be busy. Holy crap. Tom, I might have to go switch to coffee or something. I will need truck. Oh wait, go up to your grandma. Truck jumped. I hope means that you got jumper cables, not that somebody came behind you and jacked you. Okay, just the vernacular that I'm used to. If I got jumped, it's something that makes my hair stand.
Well, I'm pretty sure that RPG Grandma has a CDL, and for her job,
yeah,
probably,
yeah. All right. You know, in New York City, you say you got jumped. It's like, oh my God, you got robbed. What happened? Just remember,
in Maine it means jumper cables.
Yeah, I guess so. But to what part of the body? That's the unanswered question that you didn't fill in there. But no, so I have emails from Jared looking to come on the show, and I have emails from people who have information on the ongoing World of Game Design situation. So, and I have another situation that I'm supposed to be working on with a well-known figure in this industry that has been put on the back burner because I had Glenn Hallstrom as a house guest, and we were doing a lot of fun stuff with Glenn, but I neglected my investigative duties. So I'm going to have to break it to rates that this weekend of cleaning is going to take a slight detour.
You're still on World of Game Design, right?
Oh yeah, we're still on. I'm just filling in some of the background stuff here. So World of Game Design, Jared Nielsen. I first got to know of Jared when back in 2017. I was retired for less than a year, and it's a little inside baseball. When you retire from the NYPD, they withhold 10% of your pension until your pension is finalized, and they can't start and it's all a accounting deal, but they can't start that until your union current contract is finalized. And my union current contract wasn't finalized until like 2019. So the opportunity to make a little extra funds sounded pretty good. And Jared, I didn't mean to throw your name in there. Jared is a good salesman. He makes a very good pitch. And to bring things forward a bit, you have to have a good pitch to get this Zweihander IP out of Daniel Fox's hand. And he did. So he pitched a 10-card tavern crate to me. And it was going to be like Myth Horde. Why like Myth Horde?
Oh, that's the kind of crate he was going to do. He was trying to,
and Myth Horde was a project or an IP that Jared picked up. He bought out the guy that was running Myth Horde and was deciding that he was going to do multiple boxes. And you could do boxes for old school RPGs, sci-fi, whatever. And the deal was that basically it would be my name on the box, 10 Cards Tavern Crate, and I would have great input in curating the box, which got me very excited. And I reached out I have a lot of friends in the publishing industry, even back then, and I got a lot of people to give me basically a handshake agreement that, yeah, I'm in. Tell me what you need. I'll give you this stuff at cost, whatever it costs. But that's not what Jared wanted. Jared wanted a license to print as many copies as he wanted to put into the box and, I guess, sell to the aftermarket. None of my friends would agree to that. None of my friends would agree to allowing him to print himself because they knew the quality of the printing if it went through Lulu or if it went through Lightning Source or One Bookshelf. They didn't know the quality of the printers that Jared was going to use. So the box went on without me actually curating anything. And it went on for, I don't know, maybe 2 years, but I was getting customer service questions such as, why is the contents of your box the same as Myth Horde? Well, because it's from the same company.
Change it?
Some of the content, most of the content, the core content would occasionally be the same. And I think that would likely be because a lot of the content in 10 Cards Tavern was supposed to be old school content. And he had bought a lot of content from our very own Bad Mike. Because Bad Mike bought a horde of Judges Guild stuff.
Ooh.
So Mike had hundreds of copies of various Judges Guild releases from back in the day. So that was originally stuff that was the original owner of Myth Horde was buying from Mike, and I believe probably sold whatever he hadn't sold yet, brought it over to Jared. My understanding of Jared's marketing history. Oh God, the sports memorabilia. You know those like life-size wall stickers.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
he was involved in that company. That's the thousands, Eric. All right, Mike. Mike, it's been years since I went to the old North Texas Bad Mike warehouse where I almost died under a pile of Judges Guild Fat Faggot Green, probably. I mean, yeah, you could have burned it for warmth and it still wouldn't have never ended. The original owner would buy for his box, and then Jared took over and also bought items for his box. All right, so yeah, I mean that's listen, that's fine. There was somebody I was subscribed to, but haven't gotten in a couple of months that was doing something similar with old gaming magazines. You just didn't know what you were going to get, but you could probably have had multiple subscriptions and gotten different content because you were getting random stuff every month. There's something that's exciting about these boxes. It's the reason why loot crates were so successful for a number of years. But then there becomes a point where you get saturated. And I think Jared came in at a saturation point. There was also Dungeon Crate at this point.
Well,
Another person.
well, that's the problem that you have. It's sort of like when I had my book publishing company. You know, that was right about when what was that series called? The woman from Toledo, Ohio wrote it. It was about the vampires.
The Anne Rice books?
Twilight.
Twilight. Oh, okay.
So when Twilight came out, what happened? What's that, Tom?
Dungeon Crate.
Oh, okay, Dungeon Crate. So
I got saturated.
Gotcha. So when Twilight came out, what happened? People would bring in their books that they wrote, and it'd be Twilight copies. It would just saturate the market with vampire crap. You know, it was like vampire love stories. You know, everybody jumped on board. You know,
There was a day when all that was out there was Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice, and it was like, whoa, this is great.
yeah.
And after that,
Well, I mean, the thing is, that's just it. People, it's just like with D&D. What ends up happening is, you know, you have like something happens that sells well, and then everybody jumps on the bandwagon, wants to do the same damn thing, and it's like you're not helping yourself here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, be original. You know, so
Being original is overrated. Come on, man. You know that.
Avalani sparkly vampire poop.
Oh, it's kind of like corn, but sparkles.
it's not corn; it's gemstones.
It's little bits of gold that squish between your fingers. It ain't even fool's gold. It's poop gold. Oh my god.
Well, Dungeon Crate actually does a lot of Reaper miniatures in your box.
Okay.
No.
Listen, they have Jared used to put in and listen, forgive me for saying this, but I got, and I think it was from the Myth Horde. I actually gave this to North Texas as a midnight auction thing. Maybe it'll come up next year. I had an unopened Myth Horde tubular almost box. And I for a while there, and it took them like 6 months to fix it. I had 2 subscriptions. Don't ask me. I kept getting 2 of everything. I was getting billed twice too. And this one I never opened because the one I did open was such shit. I didn't even. It just sat there for years on a shelf, and then I was like, "Oh, I'll just give this to Mike."
Sorry.
Yeah, Mike. Here's some shit.
Well,
But, it was early. 3D print on demand stuff that.
but see, that's the problem with the Loot Crate is you got to be real. I mean, you have if you're going to be the one to implement Loot Crates as part of your marketing plan or as a sales channel, you have to be really careful because you really have to offer stuff in that Loot Crate, and it's monthly. You know, I mean, you gotta constantly. It's like you're reinventing things every month, and you're relying on other avenues to supply you with goods. Excuse me. And I don't see as a game publisher or anything. I mean, even anything remotely like that. I don't see how that's a sustainable business model unless you're a big company and have a lot of contacts.
Well, Dungeon Crate actually had interesting stuff from other manufacturers in there. I got this nice, it's a compass medallion thing. It's heavy. It's metal, and some fake fantasy coins. And I was just actually cleaning out boxes yesterday, and I found this is a rubber ducky. It's a dragon rubber ducky that some company made and they put in here, and I was like, oh, geez.
Hold it up.
I'm holding it up.
But see, that's the whole thing. You have to be able to supply that type of stuff.
Yeah, right. I'm going pins.
Yeah.
You like put on your hat or something. This is a mimic. I just happened to condense and break down boxes. I had a stack of boxes.
I have a bunch of bobblehead stuff from Loot Crate, and they had the Marvel's Galaxy, Guardians of the Galaxy, where you were getting one figurine every month in addition to a T-shirt. Listen, most of the T-shirts I would give to my son's fiance because it was more her generation than it was my generation. She enjoyed it.
Funko Pop did that. Funko Pop for a while. I don't think they do it anymore because I used to collect it because I collected all the Lord of the Rings and the Game of Thrones Pop figures. But the thing is, they used to have a thing called it was like a Funko crate, and you'd get like a random Pop figure, a little figure, and I bought like 2 of them. And even after the second one, I was like, boring.
Yep. I think Kim Winston has a great point, by the way.
Real quick, I'll do this. Kim Winston says, Kim, thanks for coming to the show. He says, loot crates are profitable primarily due to the fantasy that the cheap crap in them would become valuable collectibles. When that fantasy popped, so did the value prospect. Yes, just like the pop market right now, there was a time when some of the pops were worth thousands of dollars, and the markets just dropped right through, just fell through. So I don't see how loot crates. Let me back up. There's one type loot crate that I think would be pretty cool. It's been around forever. It's like a crate, but you get like guy stuff. Like you get like you can get like a knife and survive.
They have that. They have that.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. That's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah. Oh God, Tyler, one of the YouTubers. This guy Tyler Tube, who does he puts these things through often some hellish testing, but he'll do an occasional episode where he'll have like 5 months, 6 months worth of these boxes, which he doesn't open up ahead of time. So it's a surprise for him and it's a surprise for you when he goes through it. And he
opens it on camera.
He opens it on camera.
Oh.
And he goes like, I don't know what this shit is. Hold on. And it's like, all right, well, another knife. And there's some stuff that's good and there's some stuff that isn't. I mean, I guess the last surprise box I got was, I don't know if anybody goes to woot.com, but woot.com, it's now an Amazon company, but they have stuff it's new stuff every day. And you can find good value. Well, Loot will do a mystery box. They're rare, and when they come up, if you time it right, you can grab them in the mystery box. It's like $5. I grabbed the $5 mystery box. Well, you know what? If I wore extra small slacks, it would have been great. I had something to give away. If I needed a water filter for a certain under the sink water filtration system, it's like a $30 water filter, but I don't use it. So basically, I got absolutely nothing from it except for the joy of opening up a Christmas present in October. That I was like, hon, do we need any use for this? She's like, what the hell is that? I go, it's a bottle warmer. No, and it looks like it was returned. Yeah, and I noticed the same thing.
Okay, real quick, someone just got aged live in chat. Mr. Gunn says, what are Beanie Babies?
Oh my.
Beanie Babies, Mr. Gunn, back in the early 2000s, 2000 to 2000, well, mid 2000s really, were these little stuffed animals filled with like little beanie type thing. They're called Beanie Babies. And you talk about hot for a while. I mean, they were like the thing to get.
You couldn't. I mean, they were on Home Shopping Network and QVC. You can get your instant connection at Beanie Baby.
And Eric, they were valuable for a while.
Yeah.
I mean,
and they're still out there. When you go to Michael's, they'll still have a little circular area of Beanie Babies. And I have to look through it because I'm like, are they going to have a police officer Beanie Baby? Oh, wait, Mr. Gunn, you're never sarcastic.
Yeah, I was going to say, Mr. Gunn, I apologize. I never would take you as being sarcastic, so my apologies. Hey, you on the bottom.
So
come on, liven up.
So, Don, I want to get your comments on this. These were frequent items in the Loot Crate, and so this is, well, it's got a lot of green in it, and I got a green screen on, but it'd be a picture on one side, and then stats and information on the other. Could be a magic item, could be. I think in November they had a dire turkey. It was actually a cockatrice. So you'll have a couple of these printed and cut, and then you might get one of these. It'll be a map.
Okay.
Sided map. And then you'll get a card with information on the adventure encounters that these cards supported. These would be in every single crate. So how expensive, because I know you print, these are glossy cardstock. So how expensive is it to print a handful of these, 4, 5, or 6 maybe?
You know what? You probably have in all three of those items, actual cost to print and do, you might have 50 cents.
50 cents.
And we're talking about you're not making a lot of them. And depending how you print them, if you do like we do, you're on 3624 stock, you're maybe got a nickel into each one, maybe 10 cents with ink, depending. So print stuff, keep in mind one thing when it comes to loot crates. If you're going to do a loot crate and you're going to give people print stuff, printed media,
right?
You can make a very good margin on it. Number one, it's a good margin because it's cheap to make. Number two, it's good margin because you can POD literally out of your own place if you have the capability. Or if you have to store it, you can store a lot of stuff in a very small place. And then as long as you don't have anything bulky with it to ship it, it's an envelope and maybe 50 cents, 75 cents in shipping. So
it was a lot of that. There was a lot of buttons, you get a pin, the pin that you would put on your shirt with a little clasp in the back. A lot of pins, a lot of stickers.
I made my my D&D D21. We're doing those now. So
now the thing I did like that they put in there was it was done on a playing card, and it was a character sheet done on a playing card. It was great for like an NPC type of thing. And I thought, I'm saving every single one of these separate out of every dungeon crate. Those I really liked. I thought they were absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, loot crates, and technically it's not really a loot crate, they call it or whatever. But the thing is, if it's sort of like what we're doing on our Patreon, for a certain level, you get a little pack of maps and a monster every month, what's one of the levels. So, print media is cheap to do, but you get a lot of value for the buck because depending on what you're getting, like you said, your card, that card that has a player character, an NPC, for someone who's DMing a lot, that has value.
Right.
Yeah. And that's kind of like the duck, like you guys have a copy of it, but the Rot Hole Dungeon deck of descriptions, we're going to fire that back up. And we're doing generic now. And for a DM who just says, damn, I got players in a dungeon, I need to do something real quick. For any game company that puts a product out like that, that's value.
Yeah.
Because it's useful. And see, that's the thing that if you do a loot crate type item, I think, guys, the trick to it is you want to make sure that what you're giving people is value because you want them to subscribe again. You don't want them you don't want a one and done.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the only way you make money on that kind of stuff is consistency.
We ran
Yeah.
it for a year, and I'm in a day that has some cool minis that came from Reaper, but then there's some that I'm like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Kim says, I still have a Humble Bundle subscription, but to be fair, those are intangible game codes. Why? I'm not too much familiar with it.
Oh, Eric does Humble Bundle all the time.
Yeah. Eric, Kim says it's those are he says I still have Humble Bundle subscription. But to be fair,
All right, so the subscription is $12 a month at Humble, and they give you like the game of the month.
uh-huh.
So, and you get codes, download or to own whatever the game is. It wasn't useful for me because I'm on a Mac, and a lot of times it was just for PC stuff. But if you're an avid gamer, it's a good deal. But I think if you're an avid gamer, Humble Bundle, whether you're a tabletop gamer or a computer gamer, Humble Bundle. If you find a bundle you like, grab it. And I'll be honest with you, there's always different tier levels. The best tiers are the lowest one. It's either $1 or $5. If it's for RPGs, you usually get like a starter kit, and you can see if it's what you like. And the most expensive one without print, don't get the print stuff because it's just an needless cost. You're getting everything else in PDF anyway, so why pay for the print?
But see, there's also a risk because, and gaming is kind of unique. I mean, in this is that if you're going to offer something like that as a game publishing company, like for me, one of my major decisions I have to make is, am I going to do something that's more designed for OSR style gaming?
Right.
Am I going to do something for 5e? Or now I got a double problem. Am I doing 5e or am I doing, and I'm going to call it 5.5 for lack of better term, but do I do something for 5.5 now?
Right, D&D forever.
Yeah. And so you get these really strange kind of, decisions you got to make because you're not going to be able to make everybody happy, but what is the best decision to make to be able to get to the maximum amount of players, Tom? Hold on a minute.
Mr. Gunn's checking out.
Mr. Gunn, have a good night. Okay. Thanks for tuning in. Okay. Yeah. Kim says, yep. 100% digital snow inventory, shipping, etc. Okay. Real quick. Kim brings this up. And actually I was talking to my wife about this the other day because I got into a little bit on an argument with a guy online. And this is a big thing with LaNASA, with NuTSR. And that is, okay, free or not? Is there a place for things that are free? How about this, even better yet? Is digital, like a PDF, in your guys' opinion, or the chat, is that something that's viable for a company?
Yes.
Okay. What about the argument? And I'm not saying I subscribe to this, but this was a big thing with Justin. But what happens as a game publisher if Eric buys my module? For $8.99. Yeah, sure, it's PDF. I made really pure profit there.
Right.
Well, hey, what about if Eric starts giving people copies of my PDF?
Well, then treat that in your mind as, whoa, I got free advertising for a future product that I put out. If you're only going to produce one and be done, PDF is probably not your route. Okay, right. But if you are producing product that's going to have a tail, if you are producing product that is going to be evergreen is PDF. Yeah. Evergreen is PDF and print on demand. Because when people go and they find it, they're buying it and money going into your pocket. Even though it's a print on demand, you didn't have to warehouse it. You didn't have to print it. You didn't have to put money out as a publisher in advance.
Yep.
All right. So that is why, and that is why WotC, their mentality is still, listen, people go, oh yeah, but WotC gives us PDFs and print on demand. Yeah, on everything prior to 5e. Everything up to and including D&D Next. But there's nothing, and I'm not counting stuff in the DMs Guild, but there is nothing officially WotC after D&D Next that is up on drive-through. So now maybe with D&D 2024 coming out, maybe they'll put the old player's handbook up as print on demand. I don't know. It'd be interesting. As for Reaper, they're trying to put out an RPG now because miniatures are a niche, and with print on demand, that niche is shrinking. So they need to. There'll always be people who go, but I want my pewter, I want my resin. That's awesome and great, but for a company like Reaper to thrive or even survive, they have to diversify. Bones was an initial diversification.
Yep.
But now that everybody is doing print on demand of 3D terrain and 3D minis,
but
they got to diversify.
But see, also Reaper though has taken a really unique step, and that is they're going into markets now that traditionally minis never got into, and that is places like Michaels. And I'll guarantee now that Michaels are carrying Reapers, it will be very soon. And then I guarantee Hobby Lobby will pick it up, because Hobby Lobby and Michaels are always kind of like in the hobby form area. So I think that, and really I kind of on one thing that the comment that he made was, he said that, why do you think Reaper's not a bigger player in the hobby? I think as a whole, they're a pretty big player in the market on the overall. I mean, they're in just about every game shop because they're a nice midline, mid-priced mini.
When you see a brick and mortar mom and pop hobby shop and they've got miniatures, Reaper's going to be a huge deal for them. Unless they're still sucking the Kool-Aid from Warhammer. If they're still sucking on the Warhammer Kool-Aid, then maybe their Warhammer displays will be the biggest. But Hobby Bunker that used to be in Malden, Mass, it's now in, I forget what town in Massachusetts, massive wall of Reaper minis. And it's just because people would come in and they're looking for a special leader figure for their regiment. They're going to buy a Reaper mini, which is much more detailed than some of the historical lines of miniatures out there, and that's what they're looking for. So people, and the D&D players are going to go buy a conjunctivitis from Reaper, which is a beholder, because it's cheaper and the sculpt is way cooler,
way much better.
Oh yeah,
I mean it's like Jim Whopper made a good comment here. He said, Jim, welcome to the show. He says, Fat Dragon Games' new Battlefront Valkyrie is an all-digital war game, and within a week of release is on the bestseller list. Yeah, see, that's my thing. I mean, this mentality of I don't want to sell digital product because someone will steal it. I just think that that's just kind of this really skewed way of looking at it.
Right.
It's like saying, because the same argument is this. Let's say, okay, Tom bought my Haunted Ruins. Well, what stops Tom from photocopying it and giving it to his buddies?
Well, because I actually like you, and I just tell people, hey, you need to go buy it.
Well, my point was, it's the same mentality, though. It's nothing to worry about because, yes, you're going to have the occasional person, not a module, but like you might have somebody like photocopy a few pages of a rule book and give it to their buddies so they can maybe get the basics. But this whole thing about PDFs, I can't sell them because I'm worried. I just think is backwards.
Well, Bain Publishing, they publish sci-fi fantasy novels. If you go to their website, they've got a free library, and their free library is usually the one or two books out of a very popular author's most popular series. So if you like, David Weber's Honor Harrington series, you can go read at least the first two novels in that series on Bain.com. You can download it, they have web pages. It's just each web page is a chapter. I've actually sat at work on my computer and been reading a David Weber novel.
Well, it's like Game of Thrones. When Game of Thrones, the first book of Game of Thrones came out, you're talking a 700-page book. and it was like $20. And back then, people were like, $20 for a book. So how they solved the problem was because they knew people weren't going to want to buy it. They put out like this little 120-page preview book, which was the prologue and like the first 5 or 6, 7 chapters. And that got people wanting to spend the money because it was like the hook in the cheek and they dragged you into it.
Oh, yeah.
So, giving, things at a discount, or like you just said, Tom, giving people a part of it to give them the taste is one thing,
Right.
I got hooked on David Weber because I went into a Barnes & Noble. I was too early for a sales call. So I just said, well, I'll go get a cup of coffee and I'll read something until my sales call. And so I got my cup of coffee and I'm going through the shelves. I don't know what to grab to just read for half an hour. And I see this on Basilisk Station, first one in the Honor Harrington series, for $1.99. And I think that's weird. $1.99 for a paperback novel. And so I started reading it and I was like, for $1.99, this book's going home with me. And a day later, I was back in the store buying every novel in the series, just like that. I was hooked.
And I don't know, Kim, I don't know. I heard that was pretty damn fine by Wolf Photo Etch, restarted video vlog, whatever you want to call it. Photo patch, photo etch, whatever. Eye patch. Bad Mike. Agreed. He says it's only good business to diversify in this hobby since so much of his niche. Yes. And you have to be able to also, and I think this is another mistake a lot of publishers make, is they get caught up in the what's new thing. Oh, this is popular. I need to put something out immediately to kind of jump on this bandwagon. And so Reaper is putting out a RPG.
They've been working on it for a couple of years.
Gotcha.
They haven't released it yet, but they are diversifying. And I mean, listen, when Bones first came out, I remember people going, "Oh, who's going to care about plastic minis?" And plastic minis were out back in the 90s.
Yeah,
you got it from Games Workshop. The skeletons. They were a less expensive way to build up your mini collection. And I backed a number of the Bones. I gave away most of my Bones to another YouTuber / gamer because I know he paints. I don't paint. I'm never going to paint them. But if it goes to a good home, that's the whole point. But I like companies like Reaper because they're passionate about what they do. You can see that in their work. You can see that in their Kickstarters. So I think Mike said their RPG is going to be Dungeon Dwellers. I believe I spoke to the guys from Reaper, 2-3 years ago at North Texas. I didn't see them last year, but they're psyched about their future. So we shall see.
Yeah, Shark says Acrel, Vallejo, or Fanatics? Vallejo. My own personal opinion. Kim Winston says, if I'm wrong, lucky me. It's now extreme limited edition, so by NFT logic, it's going to be survival in 20 years. Yeah. Buy now, have value later.
Yeah, Kim makes me laugh so much.
Yeah. But see, there's another thing here I want to bring up, and that is I saw a post on Facebook the other day. It was kind of interesting. A guy posted that in the new D&D, the new updated DM's guide, in the PHB, there are no half races. And I have a copy of each. I went through both, and there still are half races.
Okay.
The only difference is that, instead of natively gaining powers or abilities from both races, like human and elf and such, what you have to do is you have to pick more. You have to choose the traits of one or the other. All
right. So in other words, it's like, all right. So before I met Rach years ago, I was dating a girl that was Jamaican and Filipino. Very nice girl. So that would be like saying, and you couldn't tell what she was because she was Jamaican and Filipino. But that's like saying you'd have to be either Jamaican or Filipino. She couldn't be both. I think that there's a disservice to it's almost like ignoring the fact that there are different, what do they call them now in 5e, species?
Species, yeah.
Yeah, that the species had a child, and it's either human or elf. It is either orc or human. That's what it might look like a mix, but no, it's really just a human in orc clothing because.
But do you know why they're doing that, Eric? I think.
Right.
I think because although the trope was known when I was doing D&D as a kid, we never even really got into it. But I think the assumption that makes WotC paranoid about half races is, is half race, is that the result from violence, for lack of a better term? Was there a sexual assault involved in it? And
then you can say that about any offspring.
Well, I agree with you. I'm just saying that I think that's their logic, though.
Half orcs were the product of rape. I mean, we assume that.
Right, and Mike's like, listen, the half part between half orcs and half ogres, these are races that are half. One side is evil, so I have no problem saying, and I did that with 2E initially. I believe. I think that you couldn't. No evil classes. You could have said no evil. You can't be a half elf. You can't be a half ogre. But there are half orc or half ogre. But a half elf is two non-evil races having a child. You would assume that it wasn't an act of violence. Making that assumption is either say, and you're probably going to assume then, well, I doubt the elf was the rapist. So then you're saying that the human was. Right?
Well, that's a thing, though. But like Bad Mike says, Bad Mike has two comments. He says the official word is half races. Push the narrative of sexual assault in cases of the half orc or half ogre. So best just to let the go. And then he says, which is annoying, which is an annoying assumption. As Don said, there doesn't have to be violence involved. And see, that's my point. Because like in a newer game, when, and this has been maybe 20 years ago, but there was a woman who played a half orc. But the kicker was that no, excuse me, she had an NPC that was her child she used that was a half orc. She was human. Her boyfriend at the time played a orc NPC, and they loved each other.
Okay.
And it wasn't a product of violence. It was consensual. And you talk about, I wasn't the DM.
Right.
The DM had a field day with it, but in a really cool, fun way. And it was like, talk about unique tropes being brought into the game. But then again, we get right back down to the whole thing we were talking about a couple of weeks ago about DMs have to be creative.
Right. I don't know. I mean, I personally think for me, the most disturbing race of any creature was what 2E had mongrel men, right?
Yes.
And that
mongrel men were 1E, but as a monster, but as a playable race, in 2E they started, right?
They may have added them in Planescape or something like that. One of the.
It wasn't the tradition. It was something like Planescape, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, to me, that was disturbing. Even if you just used mongrel as a term often used with dogs, it's like you can't tell what breed the dog is. It's a mongrel. I mean, that to me, even as a teen, I was like, well, that's kind of not right. That's kind of a little off. But I never, saw the issue with half races. Now, admittedly, I would probably scratch my head if there was a town full of half elves, because but it's like, well, how did that happen? Well, maybe they're their own race / species at this point. it's kind of like how your different breeds of dogs and cats breed out to have a different breed in it.
Yeah, Thiatis makes a good point. He says, personally, I think species is a more accurate term. I've used it for 20 years, but I can see why people are perturbed by Watsy's, use of it. But see, I think a lot of the issues with Watsy now, yes, they have messed up. They've stepped in the dog doo-doo. They've tracked it through the house. They've done all of that. But I think a lot of people, though, are getting upset and they're picking on very trivial things that Watsy's doing just because it's Watsy.
Well, yeah. I mean, how'd that song go? Kick them when they're up, kick them when they're down, kick them when they're up, kick them all around. I mean,
dirty laundry.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, hey, we're Watsy. Well, wait, hold on a second. No, we haven't done anything negative. Let's fire a few more people. Hold on a second. Here, hold my beer. I'll don't worry. I'll get something good for you.
I just want to say for the record that I learned to hate D&D 3.5.
Really?
D&D 4 was 4.0 was a disappointment, and by that time I was just over anything else, and so I just didn't even bother with 5.0. But I really learned to hate Watsy when the OGL crisis came out. I saw
that was a trigger for a lot of people.
I was like, that's it. Stick a fork in me. I'm done with Watsy. I do not like them. Do not trust them. Big corporation owned by another big corporation, not to be trusted. My prejudice is big corporations are pretty much kissing cousins with the devil. End of story.
Well, I mean, because the only big problem with places like companies like Watsy is, and it's a legitimate problem that they have, is they are dancing with the devil in relationship with it because they have to make everything is profit based.
Well, actually, I said they were kissing cousins, and I believe there's tongue involved.
Ew.
Could be.
Not dancing.
You looked like you were getting ready to laugh about something, like you saw something or what you thought of something.
No. I got nauseated by this man. Horrible.
Yeah, the whole thing with them is that they're for profit. They have shareholders they have to report to. They have to make money.
Yep.
And that bleeds me into one more thing. If everybody has time, this is kind of interesting. And this was on Facebook again yesterday. A guy posted. Oh, it was today. A small publisher made a post about how if you are a game designer and you are worried about monetizing your product, then what you are doing is you are not being a very good creator. You're not doing it for the right reasons, because real creators, real makers do it for the creation of it. They don't do it for the money. And my argument has been no, because legitimate publishers and creators have to think about monetization, because you have to be able to feed yourself.
Right. Yeah. Not everybody is me, who can spend way too many hours doing this shit because I'm retired with a pension. All right. I am the exception that proves the rule. RPG Grandma has the comment of the night. Big corp equals death of creativity.
Amen.
Certainly, because you have to remember too that they aren't like, if you're an individual creator looking to make a living off this, guess what? You have to create good shit in order to survive. Yes. You have to be a James Spahn if you want to go, you know what? I'm taking off my real world corporate jacket, working a 9-to-5 job. I'm going to be a creative. Well, you know what? You got to pay your dues to get there, and God bless you when you get there. But you got to keep on creating, and it's got to be quality.
And the next comment of the night is something that me and Tom were just talking about on the phone, a couple days ago, Tom? Wham, right there.
When they killed us. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
But the thing is, this was kind of like a cascade of things because it's just like WotC allowed TSR 2.0 or whatever you want to call it under Jason Elliott to use the TSR trademark and to do
Right.
and they were fine with it. But ever since 3.0 came out and did their stunt, now WotC's just saying no to everybody, and that's a real sad thing because there's a lot of people that can put out really good quality content, and they're not looking to damage any IP or disrespect it.
We have another great comment this time by Jim Wampler.
Ooh.
Making money on creative products is not wrong in and of itself, but it is a problem when you put the cart in front of the horse. Exactly.
That's true.
Exactly. When you're willing to put out schlock, all right, or slop, depending on how you want to refer to it as, just so you can make a paycheck for yourself. Well, yeah, you sold your soul. All right.
See, this is why I hate AI, because what AI is doing is it's making people like ChatGPT and all that. They're putting out shit product. They're calling themselves artists, authors, or game designers, and they're not authoring, designing, or making anything really. And it's causing an influx in the market of poorly done product, and it's causing issues for people like Charles Obrecht and other people that put out real good quality stuff,
Making it harder for artists to make money.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Listen, this hobby's been around long enough that we can put out our own shit that's subpar quality. We don't need AI. We've seen it, right? I'm not going to point fingers at
To err is human, but to really fuck things up,
it is divine. I'm not going to point out any new company that may have done this, but they've put out some real schlock shit.
Yeah, they put out some really pesky kind of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Coats that were coat free. I mean, this is the stuff that, listen, when a product isn't good when the author asks you to mock it on social media. Yes. And I was asked to mock Cult of Abaddon. And I was like, I can't, because I regarded Vince as a friend, and I'm like, Vince, I can't mock your shit. Now I can mock it freely, but there's no need to beyond to saying that Vince asked me to mock his shit.
Does this mean you don't consider Vince a friend anymore?
That would be like asking. I'm not Christ, so I can't go to Judas and say, "Hey, you betrayed me, but hey, come on over for dinner. Let's break some bread.
Let me wash your feet."
Let me wash your feet as I spit on them. Maybe
after I piss in the basin, maybe.
Yeah.
RPG Grandma says, so making money is okay, but big corporations have formulas, shareholders, quantity over quality. But the thing is that the sad thing with RPG Grandma's comment is that is true, but it's now changing because that same mentality or that same formula is being used now by small creators due to AI.
Right.
Because what they can do is there's places now, and I haven't tested them, but there's places right now that just say, you enter a few prompts and this will write you an entire ebook.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I've written novels. I know how long it takes to write a book. I mean, my murder thriller, Soccer Mom, I worked on that book for 4 years. No joke. And it's a lot of hard work. I'm not saying it's a good book, not saying it's great or anything, but it's the amount of time and effort you put into it. And some guy or gal can just go in and they can just put a couple prompts and write an entire book in just 5 minutes. I mean, that just drives me freaking nuts.
I'd like to go back to your comment about people who worry about monetization. That whole creation, if you're not doing it for the pure love of it. My father was retiring from the Air Force, and they have this thing called terminal leave. You might remember what this is. Mm-hmm. Which is where you take all your leave time that you haven't taken, and you go on terminal leave, so that all that leave time, you just go and you do what you want to do leading up to your last day in the service. Yeah. He was on terminal leave, and they found cancer. So he hadn't retired yet, and they had to retrain him. They were not allowing him to come back into the Air Force and to finish out his time. They put him on a hold. They had to retrain him. So he went to art school. He let them pay for art school. They paid for all the supplies. They bought him a chop saw. I still use the chop saw in the basement to make frames and all this. So he went to art school. And he had been painting for years. In fact, we had been at Eielson Air Force Base right after Bob Ross. And so everybody was like asking Dad, hey, do you know Bob Ross? Bob Ross had left before Dad got there. So, so he'd been painting for years and supplementing our income on his paintings, on his landscapes. And he's at art school and he's selling paintings left and right. And all these young kids, 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds, they're all like, oh, you're a commercial artist. Because he was selling his paintings left and right. He says, no, I just know what the market will bear. Here in Maine, people want to buy farm, old farm scenes, lighthouses, seascapes, and he just listed it. He goes, I just know what the market's going to bear, and I paint that, and I do a great job at it, and people love it, and they pay me money for it. In fact, he did what's called a triptych. It's three panels, all one picture of birch trees. And the school loved it so much, the school bought it from him. And it's still hanging in this little carriage house where they do the senior shows. And meanwhile, you've got other students doing a 3 foot by 5 foot giant purple onion as a painting. Now, you tell me, would you rather have a beautiful seascape, maybe a lighthouse in it, or maybe an Alaskan landscape hanging on your wall, or would you like a giant purple onion?
Is the onion scratch and sniff? I gotta ask that, for a friend.
Well, you make an interesting point, Tom, because the thing is it's sort of like, okay, on the side, I make studio scale models and display models. I'll build one and I'll sell it.
Right.
I'll put it for sale and I'll get rid of it.
So I bet you know what the market bears.
But see, that's the whole point. I know what will sell and what will not. And the thing is, if I'm not going to do it for my, creative integrity is great to have, and doing it for the passion of it. Yes, it takes a lot of time to create something. You guys know that.
Yeah.
But the thing is unless you're just doing it for yourself and the enjoyment of hanging, like you're painting, I'm going to hang it on a wall and like it. Maybe I like a big onion. But the thing is if I'm going to want to make, I got to make money somehow. And filling my shelf up full of studio scale models will be something, I can look at it and go, oh, pretty.
Right.
But it doesn't pay the bills.
Right. Listen, going back to my college days, in the late 80s.
Back then.
I took a creative writing course with Professor Titel. And he was a published author, and he was very good. And one of the first lessons that he taught us was quite simple. If you are writing for yourself and yourself only, just sit in the corner and masturbate, because your time will be spent just as well.
Well, it's laughable, but he's right.
He's right. He goes, you need to write for yourself and write for your audience. And if you're writing for an audience, you need to find an audience that you can market to. Because if you write for an audience and you can't sell it, they will never see it. And you might as well sit in a corner and masturbate. And that was great.
Because you're jerking money off into the toilet.
Yeah. I mean, and he used that word masturbate because we were mostly 19 and 20-year-olds. And it's like, he just told us to masturbate? What the fuck? But the reality is, he is right. If you're creating just for the sake of yourself, and I'm not saying not to practice your art, and sometimes you do sketches and stuff, but if you're creating work that you're passionate about, then you want other people to be passionate about it too. And if you're going to be passionate about it, you should be able to profit from it. There's nothing wrong with that. Anybody who thinks, you look at the great artists from ancient, why is Patreon this big system, right, where people make a lot of money on it in our community and elsewhere? It's based on patronage. All right.
Yeah.
So these artists back in the day that we go, oh my God, look at that beautiful. They didn't do it for free.
Yeah.
Okay. They might not have gotten paid what they were worth, but they weren't doing it for free. They were doing it to live.
They were being paid by their patrons.
Yes.
Church, Michelangelo, everybody. I mean, they had patrons. They had powerful patrons. Catholic bishops, Catholic cardinals. Yep. They wanted these paintings done to decorate a chapel. I mean, it was patronage.
And the thing is, the people that make these arguments online, because I looked at the guy who made that post. The people who do these arguments online, what they will do is, and I'm gonna paint a broad brush, and I'm gonna probably upset some people, but what they tend to be is they tend to have a full-time day job that pays the bills. And they create a quote unquote game company. And how they create a game company is they create a Facebook page with a logo. And then they go to DriveThruRPG and they sell POD and PDFs. So they got no real skin in the game of having to print, stock, market, sell, ship. And what they do is they say, well, I'm an artist and I do it not to make money. I'm doing it because it's the integrity of the creative process. It's like, it's nice to say that because you don't depend upon
Right.
it.
Yeah. Again, folks, that's why I can do things like a video a day and a blog post a day and put effort into designing stuff with the two people on the screen. And I'm not obsessed with the money because I have a fucking pension.
Yeah.
Okay?
You put
I put time up front.
Decades plus.
Right. I put my time in up front. So, and honestly, I'm still looking to make a little, I would love a few extra bucks in my pocket.
Yeah.
Right? But I don't have to obsess over it.
Mm-hmm.
If I was doing creativity as my occupation, I'm going to damn well make sure that I get paid for the work that I do. And I'm going to be damn well sure it better be a living wage or else I'm going to go back to working for the man.
Right.
Yeah, and there's another way to look at this is, you know what? You would not be doing this at 30 years old.
No. Oh, fuck no. Anybody that I know that is working in this industry full time, at best started in their 40s, mid-40s.
Well, because you have to, like you said, the reason why you can make a video a day or 2 videos a day, or you can sit up here at 10 o'clock at night yapping with everybody here with us, is because you have another means of income. You've done this. So this whole thing, again, it's nice to have an artistic integrity. I respect it. I've got artistic integrity. I'm proud of what I make, but I'm also a realist.
Exactly.
Artistic integrity doesn't pay my electric bill.
And I'll tell you this much too. Behind pretty much every artist, writer, whichever, that does this work full-time in the community, there is a spouse with a steady income that supports them and allows them to maybe make less than a normal living wage because they understand their passion for it and they're working their ass off. I don't know anybody single that is doing this. Well, I don't know, maybe. Everybody I know, though, that does gaming as a full-time passion project is
oh man, Bad Mike is catching the shit today.
But everybody I know has a spouse behind them, a wife, a husband, and God bless them. They make the creativity happen by being that support. That's
I'll tell you what,
health insurance or whatever.
My wife, God bless my wife Tina, because I'll tell you what, she's my rock.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
Scott Mulder makes a really interesting point here. He says, Tom and I just had this conversation about my art for a fanzine. I love the fanzine, but I don't have the time to donate art anymore. Art projects need less sleep. Yeah, me and Tom were talking about this on the phone the other day.
Yeah, listen, I had some conversations with some people about evolving the fan magazine to a pay model.
Yeah.
And I got some pushback. They just, I couldn't get people to go there with me on it because honestly, I think it's time for the fan magazine to evolve to a pay model, particularly in this day and age where AI is making such inroads and people are using AI so much more often, and artists are not getting paid. And we've got some great artists, great professional and semi-professional artists who have donated art to the magazine for years.
Yep.
And I've just appreciated that. I mean, Scott Mulder has been a patron of the magazine, donating. Frontier Explorer, Star Frontiersman, the original run, the first 25 issues. The new Star Frontiersman Volume 2.
Oh, and real quick, Scott Mulder, while you're on topic of this guy, Scott Mulder is a hell of a lot more than that, because I'll tell you what, Scott Mulder has done artwork. Scott Mulder has donated to WizardCon. This man right here, hats off to this guy. This guy deserves credit and an award for his support of the hobby.
He's got Frontier Space modules he put out. Frontier Space was produced. It's a homage to Star Frontiers. This guy has just been a massive supporter, and I wish I could pay him, but fan license by WotC does not allow me to make any money on the fan magazine. And I think we're at a departure point where we need to evolve and we need to change. We need to change the model, and that would take me in directions I would have resisted 10 years ago with the fan magazine. And but he's right. He's getting less sleep by donating art, and he's got a big job like my wife, and he doesn't get much sleep. He's got a lot of stress, and for him to keep doing, we need to pay him, and he does great work. And I just love that he's supported the magazine all these years. So I can't say enough about Scott Mulder, also known as AZ Gamer for Arizona Gamer. So if you see him as AZ Gamer, that's Scott Mulder. Great person to support and promote.
But RPG Grandma also says something. She puts it all in a nutshell. Making money is good. Yeah. And it is good. And it's also, though, I'll add to it, making money is vital when you're doing it for a business, or even like you, Tom, it's not a business, it's more hobby-based. But still, you got to make money.
I heard this at an Amway meeting once, that money is like oxygen. It's tough to live without it.
Yeah. Well, it's like the whole thing with something, no matter what you do, when people are going to consume it, whether it be food or a product that they read or a game that they play, what they need to do is yes, you're going to have people, if they're used to getting it for free from you, like your fan mag, you're going to get people that are going to go, well, I'm not going to pay for it. Oh, now he's going to start charging. You know what? Thank you very much for your support up to this point. But maybe we're just not the magazine for you anymore, and you just got to do it. And sooner or later, some people will come around, to it. And amen, RPG Grandma. That comment right there.
There are fans out there who randomly, Scott Mulder's one of them, just send me money and say, hey, appreciate what you're doing with the magazine. Here's some money. Keep doing what you're doing. Appreciate it. There's another fan out there named Fred Cobber. This guy has supported the mag. He jumps on. He's supported with money in the past. And he is Patreon for Frontier Explorer when Tom Stevens was the editor-in-chief. So there are fans out there, and I keep getting people keep doing the pay what you want, and I keep getting, every 3-4 months I get a $100 check from drive-through. If I forget to go in and blow my my publisher earnings on whatever.
Well, Sharp says something. He says, gentlemen, I have to disagree. Yes, there are some very talented people. However, probably most creatives see themselves as far more talented than they really are. Many are terrible. Most are mediocre. You know what? But this is the thing, is I can show you, a widget A I created. And Tom may look at widget A and go, holy cow, that's a really nicely done widget. Eric may look at it and go, you know what? Oh, it's okay, Don. And then go, it's all it's all interpretation, like anime. I don't like anime style art. It's just not my thing. But my friend Steve loves it and consumes it. So,
I brought my illustration work to my father, and he was so diplomatic. He went, clearly you're an illustration artist, not a fine artist. He really put me in my place. And I only got into illustration artwork because I had a fan magazine editor that would not publish the magazine until we had an illustration for every single article. And I had 7 articles in the publication queue, and I was like, well, fine. I'm going to start attending sketch group. I'll start buying art books. I'll just start drawing. And after a year of going to sketch group and drawing at sketch group, suddenly I got to the point where, my art's not so bad. It's mediocre. It's not so bad. But yeah, I agree with Shark to a certain point. But my father put me in my place. I know where I stand. I'm kind of.
Mulder makes a good point. He says, I'll still work on cheap for you guys. I just can't do free work anymore unless it's a surplus project. Okay. There's kind of a point within a point to me with this is, you know what? A lot of people would look at that and go, well, appreciate it, Scott, very much. And then behind Scott's back and go, well, I'm never going to use him again, But the thing is, people, though, like me and Tom and such and Eric, I know your work. I know how good you are. I know you as a person. And you know what? I don't mind paying. That's why I'm anti-AI, because you know what? I remember when I was first starting. See, this is the thing. I remember when I was first starting out, and people like Eric Lofgren and such said, hey, here. Matt Forsyth, you can use any of my art, Don.
Yeah.
Just let me know first what you want to use so I make sure it's not using for another project. And you know what? I remember that.
And Scott's the same way. He's like, anything
Absolutely.
I've got on DeviantArt, go ahead and just ask me. I'll take the watermark off of it and I'll share it with you without the watermark. No
but that's the industry. It's like even with us, helping somebody out, helping them out, go ahead and use this. Go ahead. Am I making money off you? No, but you know what? Maybe later on, whether it's 6 months or a year, maybe you will throw a few bucks my way for a project or something.
Yeah. And Scott, thank you for that compliment. I have not been drawing a lot lately since moving back to Maine. I did a lot of drawing when I was in Massachusetts. So I'm a little bit out of practice, and I would probably need to, practice before I did a credible portrait of a person. But certainly, I appreciate the compliment, and Scott, again, this is a guy, he deserves to be paid for his work.
Well, that's just in general, though. That's the whole point. A creative deserves to be paid for the work. And that's the arrogance of AI that I don't like so much, because publishers get on there, quote unquote, or creatives get on there, they call themselves, and they're like, look what I made. Yeah. And you look at it and you're like, that's AI. Yeah. Do you know how hard this is to get the right keywords?
Whatever Scott thinks is my best picture on DeviantArt, whatever it is, that picture took 1,000 hours of practice to get to that point. And I figured that out because I attended sketch group. It was 2.5 hours every week. And then on Wednesday, there was a portrait group, another 2.5 hours. And I infrequently went to the portrait group. And I calculated it up at the end of the year when I got to the point where I was consistently drawing half decent. And I figured out it was about 1,000 hours. And somebody said, well, that's what it takes to learn a new skill.
Well, it's that right there, a comment about you. Or not about you, but it's right to you. And that is, Jim says, I really don't believe in talent. I believe in hard work and persistence. Yes, constantly working hard, doing over and over, 1,000 hours, you said.
I would say
Honing.
I have talent, and the talent I have is that I grew up in the house with an artist. And so I was always looking at his paintings, and somehow some of what he was doing in his paintings, my father, i.e., I was, somehow internalizing it. Somehow it was seeping in there. And I think that would be talent. And so that would make me so that I could look at art and go, oh, this is not good, or this is good.
Yeah.
Oh, I like this, but I don't like that. And I think it's that whole seepage that comes from just growing up in a house with, say, an artist, and always looking at art and looking at it critically, along with, and discussing it with my father. Some of the best discussions I had with my dad were just discussing art. It was really cool.
Well, Shark says, Salieri believed in hard work and persistence. Mozart believed in talent. Yeah, because I think some people, some people can get arrogant.
And who the hell is Salieri?
What's that?
I said Mozart. I know. Who the hell is Salieri?
Salieri was basically, he was the king of it was the king's personal composer.
Oh, okay.
And when
in Amadeus that tricked Amadeus into writing the thing, and he was hoping to claim
it. Yeah, that was Salieri, the character. That was a dramatization. But yeah, he was the king's composer, and he resented a lot of what Mozart did because Mozart was innately talented. Kim says pretty much everyone I've seen who has quote unquote talent actually has experience in something adjacent that builds transferable skills. Yes, and this is the thing. Me and my friend Steve talk about this a lot because Steve writes a lot of books. And it's kind of funny when you pull a book that you started 10 years ago or 20 years ago, and you look at that and go, holy shit, I wrote that. Oh my God. Repetition builds skill. It builds experience and all that. I mean, Eric, you really did that with law enforcement. You guys do repetitive things to learn and become better.
Muscle memory. Yep.
Yes.
So, creativity is muscle memory, because I have been a frequent creator in the Star Frontier space in the fan magazines, and that's only because I created the habit of always going, oh, geez, Dungeon Crate, how would this play out in the Frontier setting? And I would start asking that question. I'd start picking it apart, and next thing you know, I write an article. My favorite piece of fiction I've written was based off of reading about a 92-year-old RAF ground crewman who died in a nursing home with no family, no heirs. And so the nursing home put a little thing in the paper saying, anybody who would be willing to come to this funeral. Hundreds of U.S. military serving in England, hundreds of British policemen, firemen, British service members showed up for this man's funeral, and he died alone. And I thought, how would that play out in the Star Frontier setting? And I wrote a story called The Funeral. And it just comes from having this habit of being creative all the time, and always looking at something and going, oh, I have this right here. How would this work in the Frontier? It would be a little different than this. This is plugged in the computer and all that. But it's this constant this constant having your brain in a mode where you're constantly looking at things and saying, how would that play out in this? Oh,
yeah,
that now.
Yeah, and the thing is there's also the type of creativity. I like to create stuff, model building, writing, all kinds of stuff. To me, I really enjoy the process. I actually enjoy the process of doing it more than I like actually having the end product. I just love the creative process, no matter what it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Don, you threw some ideas at me for a magazine a few weeks ago, and I instantly started, writing. You asked me about religion, and so I started writing about religion.
Thank you, Scott.
I just you just get in the habit of doing it, and it becomes easier. It just becomes easier to do that.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, and I always tell people too, my advice for people when, they have an idea for something like, well, should I? Yes. Period. Yes. It's like when I had my publishing company. Do you think this is good enough? Yes. Well, you haven't read it. I don't need to. There's a pride in making. Try. You never know. And
and that's funny that you say that, because I just watched a Professor Dungeon Master Dungeon Craft video, and he was talking about how back in the day he had written for Dungeon Magazine.
Oh, cool.
And so he was talking about how it'd be like 3 to 5 adventures in a Dungeon Magazine, and it was bi-monthly, so it was every other month. So you only had so many, 6 times, it was like 36. One is 36 chances to get chosen, and how it would go is, you would say, you'd give them a 1-page. This is what I'm thinking. They say, all right, show it to us. So then you write it. They send it back to you with all these corrections you had to make. It was all this back and forth, and it was just this whole, I have an idea. Here's my idea, and
that's my advice to anybody who watches this video. If you have an idea and you're saying to yourself, should I? My advice and my opinion is yes, because no matter how bad you think you are, no matter how good you think you are, you're always going to run into people who think you're good or you're bad. And like Scott says he thought I was a good artist. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. But I also know people that say, Don, I think your pencil work really just is mundane and basic. I'm not offended, because I understand, not everybody likes black licorice. I love it. And I'm not going to be offended if somebody doesn't like my work. Hey, because my questions, I always ask a question. If you say I think your writing sucks, why?
We like both color licorices here in this house.
Oh, black! Ooh, black!
I love black licorice. Tina doesn't like it. Tina despises it, but man, I love good black licorice.
Oh no, black licorice. The smell makes me nauseous.
Just put a little anisette in my coffee, and I'm good.
Good. So you can stay up there in Maine.
Yep. So, well, hey guys, guess what?
The witching hour. Holy crap, we passed the witching hour.
It is 2.5 hours.
Happy Halloween, you fargin' bastards. I'm quoting Ty, okay? I'm just quoting Ty.
Way past. Well, no, you're quoting Johnny Dangerously, actually.
No, I know, but I'm quoting Ty Beard because Ty's the one that's his opening line when he comes in every time.
Yep. Fugly says about black licorice, you are allowed to be wrong. Shark says strawberry licorice. My wife likes the red licorice. I'm not a fan of the red licorice.
Black licorice.
But I'll tell you what, you give me black licorice, and they sell this black licorice in the specialty store in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and it's this Australian black licorice and has a hint of salt to it. Ooh. Not a lot, just a little bit. Oh my God. Gunther the Man says, everyone please remember to leave a like, preferably in all 3 channels. These fine gentlemen won't shill. I don't suffer from them. Yes,
I didn't share to my channel tonight. Sorry, guys.
No problem. You know what? Next week, please, you guys are going to want to tune in, because next week, Ken Whitman's
coming on. Oh.
Yep, he has agreed to come on the show, and he's agreed to answer questions, and we are going to be very well prepared. I look forward to him on the show. I appreciate him agreeing to come on. I think that with him coming on the show, if he's truly going to show up and do it, and we'll be polite to him, but we'll ask the questions. We'll let him have a chance to respond, and maybe we can get some misconceptions cleared up.
There you go.
And, it'll be a really cool show. So spread the word. We're going to advertise this one early to get people knowing about it. I think that it is, absolutely, 100%. I agree.
And we may have a good show on Wednesday, since the email I got is requesting to come on live. by Jared Nielsen. So I will.
I will definitely be in the chat on that one watching.
Yeah, I'll reach out to Jared. It's gonna probably have to be tomorrow because I got stuff I gotta do before I go to sleep. But I don't want if Jared is watching this, your email's received. We'll set it up.
You know what? This next week's gonna be an interesting week, guys.
Yeah,
It's gonna be a really interesting week because Jared's coming on Eric's channel, Whitman's coming on this channel. Good. A lot of misconceptions maybe can be cleared.
And my channel's doing a review.
Which one? Real quick. What is it?
It is the here's the funny thing is I first went to ShireCon 3 years ago. I brought this home, put it in a box, put some stuff on top of it. I was cleaning and organizing, and so I found this on Reddit, and I was like, "Holy crap, this is really good!" It's the Jungle Temple of the Mummy Bride for compatible with DCC, and it's by Levi Combs and Jeff Seifert. But
Levi did that.
Truth be told, Levi didn't really write it. His inner 12-year-old did, but we'll get to that.
Same difference. Levi.
Yeah. The adult Levi Combs did not write this. His inner 12-year-old did. His inner 13-year-old.
Our inner 12 and 13-year-olds do a lot of work, man.
Yeah.
But Eric, Tom, thank you very much for tonight.
Yep.
It was a good show. Everybody in chat, appreciate you guys' comments. Thank you for tuning in for the entire show. I know a lot of you stayed along with us. Without you guys and gals, we're just, we do 20-minute videos.
Maybe not, because that would just be creativity for the sake of creativity.
Yeah. So again, please hit a like and subscribe. We all appreciate it. Helps build our channel. Tune in next week, because next week I think is going to be a real big banger of a show.
Looking forward to that.
I'll need caffeine and adult beverages.
Hell yes. So everybody, thank you for tuning in. Happy gaming, everybody. Have a good Friday night. I'm almost at Thursday night. And, everybody enjoy your weekend, and hope everybody had a good Halloween.
Happy Halloween.